How's everybody doing? It's me again. I mean, like, wow, it's me again. Incredible. All right, I'm gonna do another tutorial, and I don't really know what to call this one. You know, it's like, hey, getting pretty dumb, son. Doing tutorial. You don't even know what to call it? And I say, that's pretty much right. I could call it a client bridge plus repeater, or I can call it a client bridge repeater, or I can call it repeater with client bridge. Now, I did another tutorial and it was just a bridged repeater. Now this one, well, the way I had that one did and set up the same way I'm going to do this one. It's like one big network. I'm going to set this client bridge repeater. I'm going to set it up where you're going to get your IPs from one DHCP server, the main router that you're going to be using, your main router. It's just going to be one big network. It's going to be a client bridge with a repeater, and it's going to repeat with the client bridge. Yep, that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it configuring OPENWRT as a client bridge plus repeater. And it's going to be a repeater. And it repeats. And it's going to be one big network. Yep, a client bridge with a repeater. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay. Do y'all understand? There's going to be one big network, and it's going to be coming from one DHCP server from your main router, and it's going to spread IPs all over the place. It's going to supply your client bridge with IPs, and also it's going to supply the repeater part with IPs to hand them out to whoever's connected up to the repeater is going to get IPs from your main router. But this is going to be a two-parter, but the second part I'm just going to call it a bridged repeater. And your main router, there's going to be two DHCP servers working on it. One from your main router, and your bridged repeater is going to have a DHCP server too, and it's going to be working through the WAN. So there's going to be two separate networks. You're going to have your main network, just your main router, and you're going to have a different network with a different subnet than your main router. So there's going to be two subnets, and they're going to be divided. They won't be able to talk to each other. But a client bridge repeater is going to be one big network where everybody be just like one great big family. And don't matter where you're at, you can always communicate with each other. And that's the way that's how I'm going to rig it. Okay, if y'all understand that, let's get started. First thing we need to do is log into the router. Now you need a working internet access and have it plugged to the WAN, because you're going to have to download a file. All right. Log in. Go to System Administration and give it a password. Save and apply. Now there's people been working with OpenWRT for a while, and now some people do. Everybody does things differently. You know, like some people, the only thing they want to use is the UCI. Since I've been using the UCI since I've been working with OpenWRT, I ain't going to change. That's the way things are. That's the way I like it. It's faster, quicker, easier. And some people like the Lucy. And it says I want an interface to do all my configs, which, you know, that's okay too. But me, I try to do things the quickest, fastest, easiest. I do it all kinds of ways, and this is what I put together to be the quickest and the fastest. And let's continue. Okay, the first thing we did was gave it a password, which that wasn't too awful hard. Go to Wi-Fi, click on the scan button, click on your main router. Now this right here is the OpenWRT repeater. I got it across the road at the wife's parents' house, and it's the main router. It's the one we're going to be using to get internet from and all of our IPs from. Also, this OpenWRT is set up the same way. If you log on to this, and you're going to be getting IPs from the main router right here, the TP-Link WR143ND. Join network. Okay, this right here is your pass key, WPA passphrase, and you put your access key right here. And then just change the WWAN to WLAN and create assigned firewall zone, switch it over to LAN. Now, other people don't even change this, which is okay too. You can leave this WWAN, but what it is, I changed it to WLAN because it's going to be a LAN. Now, if it's going to be a WAN, then I would have left it WWAN, which is wireless WAN, but I switched it over to LAN, and I went ahead and switched that one letter so I know it's the wireless LAN. It's going to be a LAN, not a WAN. And click submit. Alright, that looks good. I'm going to bring the power down to 22 milliwatt. 22 dBm, which is 158 milliwatt. And that's right. In advanced settings, I'll usually switch this over to 40 megahertz. I don't bother checking that, and I'm in the United States, USA. And save and apply. Alright, that's it. That's all we're going to use the Lucy for. Now we're going to fire up WinSCP. Alright, the file protocol is SCP. Host name is 192.168.1.1. And we're going to be using port 22, username root, and whatever password you just gave it. And click the login button. Alright, here we are. Okay, these right here are the configs. Now I put these configs together, and I try to scale everything down to the bare minimum to make it just as fast, just as easy as possible. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to fire up PuTTY. And we're going to do a opkg update. The password you gave it, just type it in here, and we're in. And swipe, copy, paste, click enter. Okay, it's doing an update. Okay, got my prompt back. It's finished updating. Now swipe and copy opkg, install relay D. Copy, paste, click enter. Okay, it's configured relay D. Now this is very important. You enable relay D. Always remember when you put it in there, enable it. Copy, paste, enter. Alright, I've just enabled it. That's all we're going to use PuTTY for. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to etc config and we're going to go to the wireless file. Alright, etc config. The wireless file is on the bottom. Now while we was in Lucy, we did some configuring in there. And everything went right here. In this config file right here. Channel 6, option TX powers 22, HT mode 40, country US, and this is where I changed the WWAN or WLAN. Right here it is. Option SSID is TP-Link WR143ND. My encryption is PSK, and the device is Radio 0. And the mode is STA. And this right here is my MAC address. And I'm pretty sure I reckon they call it cloned. It was cloned right here from when we did the config in Lucy. It was on the router and now it's right here. It's already put in for us. Ain't got to type it in. If you do it like that, you ain't got to type it in. It's just already there, ready to go. And you got a MAC address on yours, and you need to keep your MAC address. This is mine. I could change the MAC address. I got quite a few old routers I could get the MAC address on there, but you don't need to. Your radio's already got a MAC address, and just keep it. This right here's the key. I can always change the key too. So if you write it down, it ain't no big deal. You're just wasting your time. Okay, we're going to add this config Wi-Fi interface, IF or iFace interface. Swipe it. Copy and paste. That's all you got to do in the Wi-Fi, in the wireless. And this right here is config Wi-Fi iFace interface. Option device is Radio 0. Option mode is access point. Option SSID. Now this right here is going to be for the repeater. When you log on to the repeater, this is what you're going to be looking for. OPENWRT repeater number 2. The encryption is PSK, and the key is the very same one I got for the other one, the network LAN. Now the keys right here, I'm way up here in the mountains, middle of nowhere, and I ain't hardly no neighbors, which, you know, I like. That's okay with me. But you might live in an apartment building where there's hundreds of people that's got routers all over the place sending Wi-Fi signals. And also, you probably got a bunch of people sitting around that are pretty good hackers with nothing else to do but to break in on your network. So what you need to do is get the highest, you know, I think they're PSK2, and I believe there's an enterprise set up that's really hard, and you can, you know, change the key, make them a whole lot longer, and change them. The reason I did it is just for convenience for me and the wife. If the wife goes over to her parents' house or comes over here, you know, the signal gets low, she could log on to the repeater, and she ain't got to remember a whole bunch of, you know, encryption keys to log on. Because, you know, you get so many encryption keys and don't have them wrote down, you can forget them. And it was, oh, I can't log on no more. I ain't got an encryption key no more. You know, like then you have to run around and find it or put another one in it. All right. Click this blue button right here and send a query. And Give it a little time so to make the changes. Alright, made a change. Always double check it. The only thing we did is put this one, configure Wi-Fi interface, radio O, access point, and this right here is going to be ssid. When we log on to it, it's going to be looking just like this, capital OPENWRT repeater number 2. And PSK, and that's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to log on to it and see if it's working. Okay. Now, let's go to the network file. Let's look around. Right there it is, network file. Right click, edit. Okay, let's do a little bit of talking about this file right here, about information on it. This first one, config interface loopback. This is totally yours for your default configs. Leave it alone. You ain't got to touch it. Yours might look like this, or it might not. Don't mess with it. You don't need to. You ain't got to touch it. This config globals, this is totally to default for your router too. Mine's going to look different than yours. Don't mess with it. Don't touch it. You ain't got to. Alright, now configure interface LAN. Now look at this. I'm going to tell you how real fast and quick you can screw up. Now, just don't swipe. Now, the other ones I've been just swiping and dropping. I need to go back to them other ones, I forgot all about this, but you really need to watch it. Now, when you go to your router and open up, you'll see config interface LAN option. IF, that stands for interface name, and this is the Ethernet switch, Ethernet 0. Now this right here is the one that we're configuring. But if you look over here, this is the configs that I was using with my TP links. This is my D-Links DIR116. This is the one that we're actually in the firmware inside the router looking at it. And this right here is just the configs that I got in a WordPad. But these right here that I copied from a TP link. If you look, option interface name Ethernet switch 0.1. If you take this 0.1 and bring it over here, the only thing you got to do is put 0.1 and reboot, and you have just screwed up. You can screw up that quick because your LANs will quit working. You won't be able to log into it. You might as well consider just 0.1. Your LANs quit. You might as well say the router's bricked. You have just bricked your router. But OpenWRT comes with a fail-safe, and as long as you got OpenWRT firmware on there, you can go into the fail-safe, use PuTTY, log into it, clean it all out, it'll reboot, everything be just like it was before. OpenWRT did that for people like me. I get in there screwing up, brick my router, everything's all wacky, and I have to do this to clean it back up to start over again. They did this for people like me playing with it, And that's why they put that fail-safe in there, because they know somebody's going to go in there and screw up. And you can do it that quick. But if you look at this config interface LAN, everything's put in there about the same. Except if your router, if it opens up, if it says Ethernet 0.1, then you're okay anyway. You can just swap and drop the whole thing in there. But if yours says like this one right here, it's different. Option interface name Ethernet switch 0. Leave it 0. Just leave it 0, and then you'll be okay. Now let's continue. The rest of it is pretty much saying ain't no difference. Option force link 1, option force link 1, option type bridge, option type bridge, option proto static, option proto static, option netmask 255.255.255.0, the same thing, 255.0. What's this? Option IP6 assign 60, same thing, 60. Now, only thing difference is the option ipaddr is 192.168.0.11. The reason I'm going to change, now you can leave it 192.168.1.1. This is the IP address you used to log into the router. The reason I'm going to change mine is because it's in the same subnet of my gateway, 192.168.0. So when I reboot it, it's going to be this address. So when it gives me my IP address 192.1.60 in that area, then only thing I had to do is log right into it, 192.168.0.1.11. But if I leave it 192.168.1.1, then I would have to change the IP of the computer to match that subnet before I could log into the router again. That's the only reason I did it. Also, your main gateway, where you get the internet and your IPs from, a lot of them already come default IP as 192.168.1. Now, if you leave this and your main router's got the same access IP, there's going to be a conflict, and it's going to pop up on the computer, and it's going to tell you got an IP conflict. Then you got to go in there and figure out which one it is and change it. So the only thing I'm going to do is change is the IP adder 0, and I'm going to add a 1, and that looks good. Now go down here to the config switch, and in between the config switch and the config interface LAN are these two WLAN and the stabridge configs. Just swipe them, and copy. Okay, look for the LAN and the config switch. Okay, here's the config switch. There's two, these right here, two defaults. One is the config interface WAN, and the other one's WAN 6. You don't need these. Just swipe them, and delete, and paste. And there we go, they're in there. The only thing we did in the config was change the login for this router IP address to 192.168.0.11. The only reason I've done that, I want the same subnet internet of my main router that's handing out IPs. Now this WLAN, proto static, and it's got IP adder of 192.168.0.99. The reason I put that there is it's out of range of the DHCP server on my main router. It starts handing out IPs 192.168.0.100. But you see right here, interface stabridge, STA bridge, proto relay, proto network is going to be between the LAN and the WLAN, and obviously IP adder is 192.168.0.999. These two need to be identical because it's going to be using these two IPs to communicate from WLAN to the stabridge. It's needing these, and it's got to be the same. But you can have it in what subnet you want. You can have 1 and then 18 or whatever, but they got to match. The IP option IP adder up here has got to match this one down here, and that's all we did was put these two configs in. Click save, and just down here at the query, and give it a little bit of time. So it's making change inside the firmware inside the router. Right click it, edit, be sure it's there. Okay, that's good. Our new login IP for this router is 011. That looks good. 099 done relay, and we didn't touch these configs right down here. They're your defaults right here. We just leave them alone. Okay, that looks good. All right, now we're going to go to the DHCP server. First file up here. Go to edit. Just copy this one right here and paste. And the only thing we're doing is turning off the DHCP server on the LAN. You don't need it. Turn it off. Click Save. And that's in the query. All right. Edit. Okay, it's there. Option ignore 1. That means when it boots back up, you see this ignore 1. That means it's going to jump over it and it's not going to load it up. It's not going to be there. It's not going to be working. It's turned off. All right. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is this right here. Came from the OpenWRT site. You know, all it's going to be the same network. As we want to make all the same network, we can disable the firewall. So we can just totally do away with the firewall. I'm going to fire up PuTTY again. And okay. And there's PuTTY. And we're in. Okay, now this one right here is the command. This flushes everything right here. Flushes everything out. Copy. And paste. Click enter. Flushing, flushing, flushing. IPv4 filter tables, NAT tables, and filter tables, raw table. Everything's been flushed out, and this right here is what disables it altogether. So you ain't going to have no firewall no more. All things going to be one big internet. I mean, one big network. Okay, this right here is what disables the firewall. And that's it. It's disabled. Okay. Also, these configs, I'm going to put these in the comment section so y'all have them. And close everything out. And we're finished. All right. Okay, let's see if everything's working. Got to reboot the router. I'm going to reboot the router. If everything's working, I'm using the LANs as a client bridge. But you can once you get done, you could just stick this bridge client repeater all by itself, and repeater will just work all. You ain't got to have nothing plugging in LANs. It'll just work. It'll just sit there and repeat. But you have the options of using the LANs. If you got a PC with a LAN and it's pretty close, run you some Cat5 of this, and you'll have a client bridge also with the repeater. Yep. And let's there we go. It done. It main router in the house has It's computer IP. There's something about this 192.168.0.117, and it keeps on giving it the same one, which is, that's okay as long as it works. And this is the main router, 192.168.0.0. Bring the configs back up. I want to look at something. Oh yeah, when we log on, this is what we're going to be looking for. Okay. Now right here on this WLAN right here, gateway is 192.168.0.22, which is that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Let's check and see if we got any internet. And there we go. And there we are. We at the forums. Okay, we got some internet. All right. Okay. Hey, all right. Now this right here is coming off my main router in the house, and this is Samba. I got Samba set up on it, and this right here is my hard drive for my Samba. And right there I am. I'm logging right into it. And okie dokie. I'm connected up to the Samba on my router. Alright. Some pictures. Let's take a look at a picture. I like pictures. These right here are my desktop pictures right here. Orange flowers. Let's take a look at some orange flowers. That one ain't too good. Yeah, let's take a look at something else. Palm trees. Nah. Path in the snow. Peaceful meadow. Oh, hey, that's the wallpaper that I got on my laptop now. I mean, my computer now. That's the one I'm using. Ain't that neat? Yeah, that's. I like that one. Okay. All right. What's that? Oh, that's flowers. That's pretty. Okay. All right. Now that part's working. The client bridge part's working. Now let's check to see if the repeater's working. What I'm going to do, I'm going to unplug the router that we just configured, and I'm going to take it to the other side of the building, and I'm going to just plug it up all by itself. I ain't going to plug nothing up to it, and I'm going to log onto the repeater. All right, here I go. Unplugged it. Now I'm going to plug up another router, and this router right here is just a client bridge router with no repeater. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now this router right here is booting up. And the repeater router is rebooting up too. Okay. It's up and going. All right. Okay, 66. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Scan. Okay, this is the main router. That's the OpenWRT router. That's across the street. And what's this one right here? This is a OpenWRT repeater number 2. Let's join it. Okay, since the keys are the same, okay, change that out to LAN, switch that over to LAN, submit. 22, that looks good, that looks good, looks good, looks good. Save and apply. Okay, let's go to interface. Alrighty, here we are. This is the WLAN and client OPENWRT repeater number 2. Right, there's the IP that it gave it. And we're connected. We are connected. Let's see if we got internet. Alright, we are now connected to the repeater. And here we are. General discussion. Alright. I do a lot of reading in here too. I come over to the OpenWRT site and look around a lot. Alright. That's cool and groovy. Alright, now I put in a new IP and let's see if we can log into it from over here. Let's log into my client bridge repeater using its new IP. Okay, right there. That's it. I'm in. I'm using the repeater radio to log into it. And there, I'm in. I am in. I'm in. Okay, what was the wireless? Okay, this is the client, and this is the master. From the client, I'm getting a signal from TP-Link, WR143, channel 6, and bit rate is about 150. That's a little slow, PSK. Okay, and all right, here's the master. This is the repeater. This is the radio from the one we just configured, OpenWRT repeater number 2, channel 6. 130, 144 millibytes a second. Ain't too awful bad. PSK, that's good. That looks good. Alright, the repeater is working great. It's working great. Also, you can use the LANs on it. You know, if you got a PC with the Ethernet connection, and you need some internet, you can plug it into LANs. Or if you got a laptop or a phone or whatever wirelessly, you can log on to the repeater and have internet. If you ain't got a good signal with your main one at wherever it is, you can set this up at what distance away that you want wireless connection and put it over there so you can have some wireless over there. I think this is very interesting and it's very, very neat. It'll make your wireless network a whole lot bigger. But you're getting all your IPs from your main router. Your main router is the TP-Link 143ND. All right. That's working good. And my IP, like I said, is coming from the main router, and I got this IP coming through the repeater. It's working great. Okay, folks, that's it. Hope y'all learned something on this one. And y'all can get y'all client bridge repeater set up. Next one I'm going to make is just going to be a bridged repeater, but both DHCP is going to be working on the main router and also on the repeater router. You know, you do it both ways depending on how you want it. And that's it. Oh, y'all have a great day and bye-bye.